Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the T4R podcast. We're now on season 3, episode 4, if I believe correctly. We've got a special guest here today who will be introduced in a short while. But at the moment, I'm here with David and Mary. I'll let them introduce themselves now. I'll go to David first.
Thank you, John. Yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Lovely to see you all back, and I'll hand you over to Mary.
Thank you. It's great to be here. My name's Mary. I'm the Customer Insight Officer for Saha, part of the Customer Insight team dealing with everything to do with getting involved with Saha.
Okay, well, a minute ago I said we have a special guest and we're going to bring them straight over to hear what they have to say now. Our special guest today, Megan McClintock. Hello, Megan.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Megan and I'm the Housing Officer for the North East.
David, I'll let you carry on with the questioning.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much, John. Welcome, Megan, to our T4R podcast. What we're going to do today is looking at transforming lives. So just going to ask you a couple of little questions about what we do. So the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what's your role within Saha?
So I help residents in the North East area. So I cover Bolton, Leeds, Blackburn, Darlington, Newcastle, and I'm basically on hand to assist with any tenancy related issues. So that could be something if they're not sure of something in their tenancy agreement, if they've got some questions relating to the tenancy, if they're experiencing any antisocial behaviour, and so on. So I'm always on hand to speak to residents if they've got any questions. I also, in usual times when we're allowed, would go out and visit people and have a walk around schemes and make sure that everything's okay there as well. But yeah, it's quite a broad range of things, but literally anything tenancy related, right from antisocial behaviour up to ongoing repair issues or issues around the scheme. So yeah, it's quite a busy role, but I love it.
That's fantastic. You've got quite a big area there as well, haven't you, by the sound of it?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Okay, as we're going to be talking about transforming lives, how has the Saha mission statement of transforming lives had an impact upon what you actually do and what you deliver?
So for me, it's been customer focused. So as I said, always been on hand and going above and beyond for everybody to be able to sustain the tenancies, the properties they're in, to help and assist wherever I can. And sometimes just to be on hand to make sure that they're getting the support. So if somebody's having a particularly bad day, I'll always be on the end of the phone. If there's any advice that I can give, any referrals that I can make in terms of helping them to live as best they can in the property that they're in. But yeah, just being there for people and being able to make a difference to them and being able to allow them to live the best life possible.
Lovely. So we're looking at, obviously, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Hopefully we're near the end. Are you actually working from home at the moment, or are you going back into the office?
Yes, so at the moment I'm working from home. We do still sort of head to sites to just do a general scheme inspection, so we're not actually entering properties, but just a frequent walk around to make sure that there's no issues around the scheme. And obviously if we do have to respond to any sort of emergency situations, maybe for example if we need to meet police, then we are having to pop up, but predominantly it's working from home at the moment.
That's lovely. Has the actual sort of pandemic had any impact upon, people being in lockdown? Does it seem to have caused any more issues, or is it going along as normal?
I think it's difficult for everyone at the moment. So I have seen an increase in the schemes that I manage in terms of noise disturbances and antisocial behaviour, but that will probably come down to the fact that everybody is at home a lot more now than they used to be, so they are picking up things that maybe they wouldn't hear before. But apart from that, obviously I know a lot of residents are struggling at the moment. It's a very lonely time for everybody, but like I said, I can see a difference in the sort of noise disturbances that right across the board, I would say. But apart from that, it's all sort of business as usual. It's just having to adapt and be able to still keep that that relationship with residents by, just speaking over the phone frequently, regular welfare checks for those that want a weekly call. So that's something that we've been doing as well, that I've been doing. But yeah, overall, I think it's just, we've tried to do business as usual, just more frequent phone calls, and yeah, just keeping that relationship there with the residents.
Yeah, that's lovely. I mean, one of the things that I hear in my particular scheme is, we don't see our housing officer. What could we do if things go wrong? If you were to try and sort of give some advice to residents, if they do have a real issue, what's the one thing you would advise them to do?
Always get in touch. So there's always somebody at the end of the phone. So the website's forever adapting, so things can be reported on there now. If you've got your housing officer's email address, just pop them an email. If you've got the mobile, then just give them a call, drop them a text. But it's all about us still remaining informed. So with us not going out as often, we might not notice if the bins are getting out of hand, or if, for example, some pavings become loose, things like that. So just always get in touch. There's various ways of getting in touch. If you don't have direct emails or numbers for your housing officer, just pop the customer services a call. They'll always get a message across to us, and we'll always get back in touch as soon as we can.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you. Another question for you. If you could make one change within your role or what services you provide, what would that change be?
Well, that's a difficult one. If we had a magic wand, it would be to have more hours in the day. but yeah, it's a difficult question. I think it would probably just be having more time to be out with residents and actually spending more time speaking to them and being able to build that relationship, even if it's just having a chat every now and then. I am trying to look at doing some Facebook groups for each of my schemes, so that will be quite a biggie with that, because it's just a little online network where, like, a bit of a community environment for everybody. So yeah, that's probably what I would change, just making it a little bit easier for people to get in touch. So sort of exhausting the options of social media, which most people have these days. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just making it more readily available for people to get in touch and have that sort of network in place to communicate.
Yeah, fantastic. I think from where I sit, and I wonder if the others will agree, that sometimes I feel that residents have perhaps too high an expectation of what housing officers can actually do and provide. So what advice would you give to people if they think, well, I'll pass this over to the housing officer and they'll deal with it? What would you say?
I think it would be a case of, obviously, if a resident's at a point where they feel that they just cannot resolve an issue themselves, if they feel like they've already exhausted every option and they feel like I must inform housing now, that they must be able to help. I mean, obviously we'll help wherever we can, and we'll always assist with anything. But I think it would just be, obviously, especially at the moment, like I said, with an increase of noise disturbances and antisocial behaviour, I think, and to be honest, I think all support networks, especially speaking to other organisations and other, local support organisations, everybody's struggling at the moment with time, and everyone's seeing an increased amount of need for the services. So it would be just, if you feel that you've got no other alternative, then yeah, do get in touch. But if it's something that might be something that you'd be comfortable to resolve first hand, then by all means give it a try, as long as it's not putting anybody at risk and it's not it's not going to be having a massive impact on anybody. Then try and see if that's something that you can resolve before it gets escalated to the housing officer.
Okay, that's lovely, thank you. I'm going to ask you another question now. What's the best part of your role?
The best part is probably giving somebody the opportunity. So I've had quite a few recently where we've moved people in from temporary accommodation. So it could have been a year since they've actually had their own tenancy, and they've had a place to call their home, and being able to sort of move somebody in and check in with them frequently and see them, going from getting the keys to, dropping me a message to say, oh, look at this, what I've got today, and it's all becoming homely and I've decorated, and this is, so it's nice to see that transformation. Yeah, I think that's the best bit. There's a lot of things that I like, but I I mean, that's probably the biggest for me, seeing people turn their life around and being given that opportunity. But also just sometimes so when I said about doing the welfare calls, my weekly calls to residents is sometimes the highlight of my week, because it's just being able to catch up with them and just have a friendly conversation. Some people might not have had any social involvement for a week, and that could be their first phone call, so that's quite an important part as well. That's something I really enjoy in the role.
That's fantastic, and it's obvious listening to you that you're well involved in your particular schemes, and so we thank you very much for that. That's all the questions from me. I'm going to hand over to Mary now, just in case she's got anything she wants to ask you.
Thanks, David. Actually, Megan, I've been listening very intently to what you've had to say, and it's a very, very busy job that you've got, and I think you've really kind of answered us with a great deal of enthusiasm. I'm just going to ask you how much you miss being on site.
Very much so. It's that sort of that personal involvement, that just seeing a face, and I think residents will also miss just seeing that presence of a member of staff, just even if, like I said, it's just for a walk around to make sure that everything's okay and that kind of thing. But yeah, just that personal sort of being there to speak and being a friendly face to others. I do miss it a lot. Yeah,
I can tell you really come across as a people person, and I'm sure that you do really miss it. That's all I wanted to just kind of mention to you. Thank you very much. That's me done. John, I don't know whether you've got anything that you wanted to ask or say.
Yes, I have got a couple of questions. Megan, I was listening to you talking about the Facebook pages that you're working on bringing to your schemes. That does sound like a good idea, and I'll be interested to find out further down the line how that all pans out, whether it works or not. I'm sure we'll hear from you at some stage in the future. It's obvious that you do like being involved with your, I'm going to say your customers, your the residents as such, but being stuck indoors, obviously that's difficult for everybody, including myself, and I'm sure David and Mary here. We all have to sort of like do things slightly differently. But in your spare time, when work is not involved, and you've got a few hours to yourself, how do you keep yourself occupied?
I do a lot of walking thanks to my little dog Toby. So I've got a 2-year-old Cocker Spaniel, so he takes up a lot of my time. So yeah, I do a lot of walking. Wherever I can, I'll walk and walk and walk. And sometimes I just put my headphones in and pop his lead on, and we just walk. And it's just a really good way to clear your mind and de-stress, and just take yourself away from everything and be outdoors. It's sometimes the best place to be. It's just getting that fresh air and, like I said, clearing your mind.
Oh, that's good. Okay, right. So I think I'm just going to ask David, any more questions from you?
No questions from me, but like you, John, I'm actually intrigued about the Facebook idea. Yes. I think that's an absolutely wonderful idea, and let's hear some more of that, please, Megan.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, will do.
Anything more from you, Mary?
No, not at all. Just say my thanks to Megan for coming on. It's been really interesting, and thank you for doing all the work you've been doing, actually, Megan. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Great to hear from you, Megan. Okay, well, we're at the end of this podcast by the sounds of things. I'm just gonna let everybody say their goodbyes. So over to you, David.
Yeah, thank you for listening, everybody. See you next time.
Mary.
Yeah, thanks, John. It's been great, and see you all next time.
And Megan?
Well, I've really enjoyed my first podcast. Thank you for having me. It's been very enjoyable, so thank you very much, and bye for now.
You're very welcome. Thank you. And so that's it for another one. It's goodbye from me.